All right, practice test number 8. Only one more before fall break. 1, 2, and 3 are just graphing. You need to remember the gestures we did. Whatever makes the bottom 0 is your vertical. If the top exponent is bigger than the bottom, there's no horizontal. If the bottom is bigger, it's y equals 0, or the x-axis. And if they're the same, you do leading over leading. So number 1, I'm looking at number 1 right here. And what makes the bottom 0 is -1. So x, don't forget your x equals -1. Horizontal, leading over leading, y equals 2. Punch it, draw your lines, draw your asymptotes, and check your calculator for the curve. Number 2, what makes the bottom 0? 3. Make sure you put x equals 3 for your vertical. Because the top is bigger than the bottom, there is no horizontal. And then you graph it. Now this is the one we had to stretch your graph out a little bit. Don't forget on your calculator, hit window, change your y max and your x max, and make your window go bigger, and you can see the rest of that curve. Number 3, same deal. What makes the bottom 0? 2. Don't forget x equals 2. The bottom is top is bigger, so there's no horizontal. Also no hole because nothing cancels. That should not be that big a deal for you guys. Number 4 is also from that day in class where we did the fraction graphing. This one you have to factor. Take your time, factor the top, factor the bottom. What happens when you do that? The x minus 1's cancel, which means there's a hole at x is 1. That's what a hole is, where it cancels. That leaves these two, which means there's a vertical at x equals 3 because that's the bottom. And because the degree is the same, they were both 2 when you started. You do leading over leading, which is 1. Don't forget y equals 1. Number 5, let's ask you for LCD. So don't even worry about the top at all. Just look at the bottom. On the first one, you can take out a 9. That leaves x minus 4. The second one, take out a 5. That leaves x minus 4. You have to figure out what 9 and 5 both go into. The smallest thing, the least common denominator, they both go into 45. And then bring the other factor over. Bring all the factors. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Number 6, first of all, you got to find the LCD. So start with the 7 and the 2. They go into 14. And bring down the other factors, the x and the y cubed. Then you just do this. You look at that denominator right there. Look at the big one down here. And figure out what it needs to be that. It needs a 2. It needs a y cubed. So take 2y cubed, what it needs, and multiply the top. And you get that right there. Look at this denominator. What does it need to become the big one? It needs a 7 and an x. Multiply the top by 7x, and you get 21x squared. Now somebody asked in class today, can you just like kind of cross multiply? If there's 2 fractions, you certainly can. If there's more than 2, like the second one right here, then you can't. Number 7, though, even though there's 3 of them, I'm going to do it the exact same way. Start with the 4 and the 8 and the 10. Remember, take the big number, take the 10, start going multiples, 10, 20, 30, 40, until you find something that 4 and 8 both go into, which is 40. Also, bring down the other factors. There's a y and a y squared. Bring down the bigger exponent. And then we're going like we did last time. What does this denominator need to be the big one? It needs a 10 and a y, so multiply the top by 10y. Put it right there. What does the 8 need? It needs a 5. It also needs the y squared, so multiply the top by 5y squared. Get that. What does this one need? It needs a 4. So do 2 times 4, and that's 8. Number 8, same deal, except this time you got to factor a little bit. So I'll factor the bottom of this one, like that. Factor the bottom of this one, like that. And when you do your denominator down here, when you bring this down, you got to bring everything. So about a y minus 7, a y plus 5, and a y plus 4, because that's all they had. So I'm looking back at the first one. What does this one need to become the big one? It needs a y plus 4. So multiply the top by y plus 4, which is right here. What does this one need? Well, it needs the y minus 7. So I did the top times y minus 7, which gave me that. And the other 2 problems I was done. This time I have something I can add. I can add the 6y and the 4y, and I can add the 24 and negative 28 and get negative 4. Number 9 is just simplify. So what you got to do first is always, before you cancel stuff, factor as much as you can. Always factor first, cancel second. So factor the bottom right here, and I got x plus 4, x minus 2, which means the x minus 2 is canceled. And your answer is whatever you have left over, which is an x and x plus 6 on the top, x plus 4 in your denominator. Number 10, we talked about this one in class quite a bit. What I would do here is multiply everything straight across. Multiply again straight across, and then start canceling. 40 and 128, you can punch that in your calculator if you can't figure out how to reduce that, and hit math frac, and it'll reduce it for you. The a's, do this right here, where the bigger a is on the bottom, it's 2 bigger, so 2a's stay on the bottom. The b's cancel. Look at your c's. The bigger c is on the numerator, and it's 2 bigger, so I put c squared, then your f cubes cancel. That's all you do. Number 11 is just like the one we just did on 10, except for you have to flip this one first. Do reciprocal the second one. Make sure you flip the second one. So I'll flip the second one, multiply the numbers, Count your x's. There's 3 x's altogether on the top, 3 y's, 4 z's. On the bottom, 3 times 12 is 36. 3 x's, 3 y's, 4 z's. And the weird thing about that one is all your variables canceled. So I just had to reduce that on the calculator and got 10/3. 12, you actually have to do a little bit of work first. You have to factor this one and factor this one. So I got that fraction. This one I did 2 things at once. I flipped it. I put the a squared minus 4 on the top, that one on the bottom, and I factored at the same time. These are difference of squares because they have square roots and they have a minus sign. So the square root of 4 is 2, so today plus 2a minus 2. Square root of 1 is 1, and today plus 1a minus 1 down here. And then cancel stuff. I canceled everything I could, and what that left was this on the top, and then on the bottom, then you're done. 13, 14, you got to use your calculator. Just punch it in your calculator and graph it. See where it crosses the x-axis. It crossed at 3, so I put 3 in the box. That's what I had left over. Write your new equation. Move the 4 over, take the square root. Got it. Same thing here. Graphed it. It looked like a cross between 1 and 2, so I tried 1.5. It worked perfectly. Bring over your new equation right here. Move stuff over, take the square root. Remember, 3 answers. If your exponent or your degree is 3, that's how many answers you should get. Number 15, factoring 15 and 16. First of all, look for what they have in common. They all have an x, so I took an x out. That left this when I take an x out. So I'm trying to think of factors of 30 that gave me a positive 1, so I came up with 6 and 5 and got it. 16, remind me tomorrow, we need to change this one in your test also. X to the 4, 12x cubed, 35x squared. Take out what they have in common, which is an x squared. What that leaves is an x squared, a 12x, and a 35. So I'm trying to think of factors of 35 that would give me 12, and it was plus 7 and plus 5. 17, 18 are just describe. Number inside shifts it left to right opposite of what you think. So 17 is left 2. 18, guys, 1 on tomorrow is inside also like this. It's multiplied inside. When it's multiplied inside, remember, it's a horizontal stretch or compress, and it's opposite. So this is 1/2, so it's really a stretch, and you do reciprocal by 2. So watch out for that tomorrow. It's like that tomorrow too, so be careful. Number 19, complete the square. Remember, half the middle, square, add to both sides. Half the middle, square, add to both sides. I took half of 4, which was 2, squared it, added it to both sides, added over here, wrote the parentheses over here, the half goes inside. I took the square root, move the 2 over, don't forget to take the I out, done. Number 20, same exact deal. Move the 13 over, take half of 10, which is 5, square it, add it to both sides. Over here, add, you get 12. Over here, the half goes inside your parentheses. Break down the 12. You can use 4 and 3. That gives you 2, 1, 3. Just move the 5 over. Donezo. And 21, 22. We've done so many of these by now. 21 is less than, but you've got to move the 5 over first and write this. Now, because it's and, it's less than, write it all big like that. And just add 2 to all 3 sides. Draw your number line. Donezo. And 22. 22, divide by 4 first. Write that step. Because it's greater than, it's greater than, it's or. So I'm going to write x minus 7 is greater than 7 or less than negative 7. Move the 7 over here, 14. Move it over there, 0. Draw your number line, remember, or goes opposite directions all the way to the arrow. And the last slide, number 23. Oh, I don't know what happened right there. 23, 24. 23, 24 are inverses. Y'all are really good at these. Remember, switch places with the x and the y. Then get the y by itself. So move the 7 over, divide by the whole side by 2. Don't forget your notation right there. 24, switch your x and y. Move the 9 over, divide by negative 5. Don't forget your little notation. And finally, scatter plot. This is all in the calculator, every bit of it. Make sure you can do this. Ask me if you need to again tomorrow. Go to stat and clear your list from the last problem that we did. Punch in this into L1, that into L2. Now, before you graph your scatter plot, you got to turn your stat plot on. So go above y equals where it says stat plot, turn it on. Hit zoom 9, and you'll see a picture looks like this. Just copy it down. Then it says to get your equation. That's where you go back to stat and calc, and you want linreg, line of regression. On your calculator, it says linreg, line of regression. And it will tell you exactly what to put, how to write it. It'll say like what A is and what B is and where it goes. And then for 27, the last one, it says 55 miles an hour. What's a prediction? So just put the 55 in for your x, punch it in your calc, and you should get 30.225. And that's it. Hope it helps. Hope you study, my goodness, and I hope you watch the video, whatever you need off of it anyway. And I'll see you tomorrow. Hope you do good. See you.